Good morning. We are discussing public relations in MA-JMC second year, semester 4. Public relations is paper number 16. So far, we have discussed 4 lessons in 2 blocks. Lesson number 1 and 2 in block number 1 and lesson number 3 and 4 in block number 2. Today, we'll try to discuss lesson numbers 5 and 6 in block 3. So lesson number 5, the block devoted to process of public relations, and lesson number 5 is devoted to various steps of public relations in its process, right from defining the problem through fact finding and research to planning, programming, and implementing it. Because public relations too has certain techniques, tools, and strategies that play a very important role in understanding the problem or the issue before us and finding solutions to befit the problem while seeking the desired response from the stakeholders. This model is called 4-step model, that is RPCE. Let us discuss one by one what is R, what is P, what is C, and what is E in this model in detail. So, research process or fact finding. What are the methods of research? Informal research techniques are there, and then formal research methods are there. Planning and programming the issue and implementing it, and then deciding the communication strategy and implementation. What are the media strategies adopted? And evaluation after the program is over, after the communication process is over, you have to evolve the situation, again, similar to the fact-finding, situation analysis, and then a result is to be notified. If the results are in favor, okay, otherwise it has to be repeated by finding out what are the disadvantages, what are the drawbacks. Now, the objective of this lesson is to disclose about the process through which PR works, and it explains the steps of PR planning and implementation, and describe why research, planning, and strategy matter in a successful PR campaign, and elucidate one by one all the 4 stages of RPCE model. Public relations, as we already discussed, it's a strategic management function. It is a specialized management function. It is a unique management function that seeks a desired response in a deliberate and planned manner from a program or a campaign. PR practitioners have long spoken about the intangible character of their discipline, which in their view cannot be measured easily. Measurement. This is partly ascribed to the lack of enough body of scientific knowledge as a common frame of reference to the practice of managing and counseling in PR, or for that matter, public affairs. It's a management function, as we told. We deal with not materials, not the objects, but the very human beings. Therefore, it becomes difficult. According to the many practitioners and academics, even the communication scientists from the field, more research is needed in public relations profession to build a body of knowledge and gain credibility about this indispensable discipline, which unfortunately is reckoned still as a spin doctoring or press agentry or propaganda gimmicks by the critics, but it is not so. The good news is that the laid-back attitude is now changing very slowly, and the managements at the of the organizations have started believing that public relations is a practice of motivating, mobilizing, persuading the people that is the targeted people. The campaign process is split into 4 stages. That is, first one is research. The second one is programming or planning or the plan of action. And then the communication process, followed by evaluation methods. The research process is also called fact finding or situation analysis. If a problem is before us, what is to be done is the fact finding must be done in the beginning itself. Or the situation, what is the situation, it ought to be analyzed. While defining the problem, it may be easy to rely on the gut feeling or inferences, but these rarely help in the long run. But we have to go deep into the field and study it, not just with the hypothesis or the ESA. Problem definition must begin with listening to the views of the concerned stakeholders. According to the expert Wilbur Schramm, a communication theorist, feedback is a powerful tool. So therefore, it has to be kept in mind. When it does not exist or it is delayed or the feedback is feeble, then the situation engenders doubt and concern in the communicator. So the communication becomes dictatorial in the absence of any feedback or response or reaction. Whatever is the name, the response, reaction, and feedback are important for any communicator or any communication program. And frustration and hostility in the audience is evident in the absence of any reaction or response or feedback. The research is one method of structuring symptomatic listening. So communicating does not mean only communicating, telling people, but also listening. Speaking and listening both constitute communication process. Ron Smith, in his book Public Relations, The Basics, while talking about the relevance of research points, he says public relations without research is like shooting in the dark. Will anybody shoot in the dark aimlessly? It means trying to hit a target that you don't see. So therefore, research provides the foundation for strategic communication planning, because every company needs to understand the environment in which it is operating. In a nutshell, public relations needs research on people's attitudes, organizational image that is there in the society already, political and social issues, and media perceptions, what media is thinking about the organization, about the policies, the achievements of the organization. The research has to be taken as a planning tool and not as an afterthought. So research has to be taken not as an afterthought. It means whenever a problem occurs, but it ought to be built into the planning and program of the day-to-day affairs of the organization. So organizational objectives should outline the scope of the research. Research that is not specific but vague, it is a waste. It achieves nothing. It achieves very little, but that is not useful to the organization or the researcher. The practitioner must determine the most relevant information for decision to direct the study. Research assumptions, they are called hypothesis. Hypothesis, singular and plural, must be worked out very carefully. Hypotheses are just assumptions because you have some knowledge about the organization and you perceive certain problems, and based on that, your experience and your perceptions, you draw certain hypotheses, one or two or three hypotheses. Say, what is hypothesis means? This organization is not useful to the community or not useful to the humans. Maybe that is one assumption. Maybe right or maybe wrong. But you have to assume or drop a kind of hypothesis. Or the people, majority of the people are accepting the whatever is the product produced by this particular organization. This is an assumption, maybe right or maybe wrong, but how it is proved only when a research is taken up. So in public relations, research is also conducted to answer specific questions like who is the target audience, who are the people to be approached, who are the people that are stakeholders of this organization. What is the demographic and psychographic profile of the targeted audience? Where they live. Demographic means where the people, your targeted audience live. They live together at one place in one particular locality, or they are scattered in different packets, or the entire city as a whole, or a particular category of the people living in a defined area, or these are all the things you have to define in the beginning itself. Which are the most effective and inexpensive channels of communication? Because in RPC model of PR process, the channel selection is of utmost importance, because all channels may not suit all targeted publics. Some people may be listening to some channel, some people may be listening to newspaper, some people may be listening only to radio, some people can see only through the smartphones or WhatsApp or whatever. So this necessitates a researcher to select the most appropriate, most effective, but still inexpensive channels, because the budget should not be very high. It should not burden the organization by all our the selection of channels which are costlier. But if you can do some kind of research, then it will help you as to which channels to be selected. Then public opinion and public perception of the organization. Every organization, people will have some kind of opinion on the organizations. If a bad organization is there, people will be thinking about bad about it. And if it is a good organization, ethical organization doing good for the people, then people will have definitely a different kind of opinion against on the organization. And there are a segment of people called public influencers or opinion. They are also called information leaders or information gatekeepers or information leaders. So influencers, information gatekeepers, opinion leaders, information leaders. These are all the names because they exert a kind of influence in the society. People will listen to them. In a two-step flow of information, there are two steps. That is information leaders and information dependents. Any information will come to the information leaders first, and then the information and that information having been duly processed, it will then flow to the information dependents. For example, a sarpanch in a village or a school teacher or a tractor driver or a ASHA worker or anybody, a government servant or any public representative at a rural level becomes information leader, information gatekeeper, and through them, the information passed on to the information dependents. For example, a tractor driver who shuttles between the village and the nearby city, or a college going student from the village to the city also constitute the opinion leaders. Even bangle seller, cloth seller, and anybody who gets the information is a kind of information first, and then it is passed on to the general public. They are called opinion leaders. And methods of research are there. What is exactly research? Research takes you from unknown to the known and known to the unknown. There are many things which are unknown to the people. And this research helps from known to the unknown and from unknown to the known. If something is not known now, after research, it will be made known. So that is the definition of research. Research is a means to an end. Research helps diagnose the problem. Research can be both informal and formal. Informal research techniques are there, and these are called informal techniques because they are like personal contact in order to size up the people's awareness about the concerned issue and map their perceptions. Opinion seekers move about freely and informally to gather information by talking to a cross section of targeted audience. This is personal contact, not a writing or group discussions or technical studies. So informal research techniques are one, the by personal contact with the people, by people in the selected targeted audience, and then through gatekeepers of information. I told you, information leaders, uh, gatekeepers of information, opinion leaders. These people are called gatekeepers, and even the a paanwala, a barber, teacher, ASHA worker, tractor driver at village level. But in city level, there are also residential welfare associations, civil society organizations, or your neighbor, or senior citizens. These people constitute the information gatekeepers. Through mail analysis, companies in product line receive tremendous amount of mail from their consumers, all of which are not complementary, but sometimes there will be derogatory remarks also. Criticism will also be there. Complaints will be there. Grievance will also be there. A periodic analysis of this kind of grievances or letters can reveal areas of disfavor and lack of information with some stakeholder groups. This would help identify areas of ill will or problem relationship. With the internet, the tide has changed in favor of the consumer because consumerism as such gives protection to the consumer. Those were the days, caveat emptor. Now the days are caveat vendita. What is caveat emptor and what is caveat vendita? Caveat vendita means the vendor must be careful. That is called consumerism. In those days, about 50, 60 years ago, when there was no consumerism kind of feeling, the burden lies with the only the emptor, the buyer. Once these goods sold cannot be taken back. That was the situation a few years ago. Now there is every possibility of returning the goods, exchanging the goods. So this is called consumerism and caveat emptor and caveat vendita. Caveat, this is the situation of caveat vendita. The vendor must be careful, otherwise there is every possibility of suing that producer, production organization, or the marketing organization, or the supplier. So this is called consumerism, and the internet helped the tide to change over from caveat emptor to caveat vendita. Dissatisfied people, dissatisfied consumers make no bone about their disgust with the brands, but they openly criticize. They don't spare anybody. They write everywhere. They write in social. Sorry for students. Dissatisfied and irritated consumers make no bone. The viral nature of communication renders organizations very vulnerable to public opinion. Through field reports also, we can already existing field reports also, we can make use of the information. Uh, and that is what is informal. That was also one of the informal methods of research and obtaining the data for looking at it. And the formal research methods are focus, focus groups discussions. Focus group discussions means focus groups are identified keeping in view the aims of the research. In this technique, the sample is subjected to deep probing with a view not only to seek information about what is said, but also why it is being said. So, media content analysis is another formal research method. One of the important areas of public relations activity is to scan the environment, which includes a content analysis of media reports. Because media speaks on behalf of the general public. In media, everything is reported, good or bad. Mostly bad things are reported about the organization. Negative things are reported about the organization because good news is no news. bad news is good news. This is the saying. So therefore, what is to be done is, if anything is to be done, if any data is to be collected about the organization, we have to gather the media reports and then analyze the context. Then communication audits. This analyze what has already happened with your company's communication and how effective or otherwise earlier communication methods were. Social environmental audits and scanning and monitoring. This type of research has grown popular as companies have become more aware and concerned about their place and role in the society and how they interact with the outside world. Stakeholder mapping. This is the process that identifies and categorizes an organization's stakeholders, their interests, and the influence in relation to the organization. So, RPCE, research, planning, communication, evaluation. We have already discussed the research part. Now let us discuss what is planning and program, the next stage in RPCE model of PR process. Planning and programming. Strategy forms an integral part of planning and programming process. In fact, it is the organization's overall plan that what the organization wants to achieve and how it wants to achieve. A strategy can be divided into various stages. For example, at the corporate level, dealing with overall purpose and scope of the organization. Strategy can also be at the operational level. Then program for implementation. Having defined the problem through research in the situation analysis, that is the stage of fact finding, on expert adjustments and recommendations, the practitioner now would be in a position to precisely define the targeted audience and communication objectives. Now, the stage is set to develop the most appropriate mix of public relations campaigns elements. These will include the potentially suitable and effective persuasive propositions, the message packages that have the greatest impact, the most efficient media vehicles, media strategy, the most suitable evaluation methods, campaign timetable, and the budget. Having worked on all these things, the practitioner can present it to the management for approval. And channel media preparation is already done. Then the next stage in the RPCE model is communication strategy and its implementation. Having designed a program, the stage is set for implementation alongside communication program. Action plans and messages must go hand in hand. Otherwise, there will be a mismatch for effective implementation. It must be ensured that communication which we have designed achieves certain things like it must be seen, the communication must be seen, communication must be read, communication must be listened, then it must be assimilated, it must be believed, it must be remembered, and it must be acted upon. It must be remembered. It means there must be a consistency in communication. If you look at 7 C's of communication, consistency plays an important role. This is why advertisements are being repeatedly broadcast or telecast so that people will remember the product and the message and then they will adopt. There is an adoption theory of communication. How people will adopt. They will not adopt any service or product just like that. Repeatedly, they must be told. There is a process, adoption process. Need, awareness, desire, trial, and then adoption. These are the stages when you look at it. Then media strategy. Media strategy is a part of communication strategy. Media strategy would aim at answering the questions like which media are most suitable to reach out to the desired publics fast and at the lowest cost per opportunity. Which media are considered more credible? Which media would prove more impactful on the audience? There are certain media units. There are which people don't believe. They are called blackmailing media. They are called blackmailing media, and they are meant only for extortion of money. such media, such channels are not believed by the people. Therefore, the media with credibility will have to be selected. Which media would prove more impactful on the audience? These are all the things to be taken care of in the media strategy. So here is the list of ways through which information is given out, that is disseminated to the news media. One is news fact sheet. Newsworthy information containing 5 Ws and 1 H in a bullet form is called a news fact sheet. So you know the structure of any news item. A heading and a lead. Lead should contain 5 Ws, 1 and 1 H for journalism students. It need not be told. And any news must take the shape of inverted pyramid. 5 Ws, who says what in which channel to whom and with what effect and how. This is called 5 Ws and 1 H. The first para, that is called lead, of the news item shall contain all the Ws, that is 5 Ws and 1 H. Without answering the 5 Ws and 1 H, this will not be a lead. Why it is lead? Because that leads the reader into the other contents, into the rest of the item of the news. Event listing. A brief notes on the upcoming event or activity. Interview notes, press release, feature press. These are all the ways through which we can communicate with the people. Actuality, audio news release, and then B-roll, sound bites for televisions, video news release, media kit, online newsroom. Online newsroom means you need not call the media press conference each time. If you have a blog, if you have a website, if you have a portal for the organization, the day-to-day information, if any, it can be posted into the newsroom so that the journalists or the scribes, they visit the media room and then collect the information online. Social media. So social media is important. It has assumed greater importance these days because of the communication technology evolution. Everybody is having a smartphone, and every information can be viewed, listened to, or seen over the smartphone. And then the fourth stage of RPCE model is evaluation and feedback. This is the last stage of public relations process. Evaluation helps in quantifying the public relations process. In other words, the exercise will reflect whether the objectives of the RPCE campaign were achieved. For long-drawn programs, it is advisable to conduct a midterm appraisal so that adjustments if any. So if it is a lengthy RPCE plan campaign, a midterm appraisal is also helpful because at that point of time, instead of going blindly till the last point, some adjustments can be made to the program and the research process. So evaluation involves the reach. To evaluate what percentage of employees or the targeted audience received the publication or the communication on a timely basis, exposure and recall. How well did the employees, supposing if it is a communication RPC model is meant for employees, how well did the employees recall important issues covered in the publication? Recall always depends upon the consistency, how consistently you communicate, how frequently you communicate. Credibility. Credibility also plays an important role because credibility on the part of the communicator is more important. If the communicator, if the speaker, if the message is not from a credible source, people will not believe that message, but just they will put it aside. So credibility of the communicator is more important. This is what 7 C's of communication says. Then understanding. Did the readers understand company's position on important and critical issues, which may concern the employees themselves? This is another area which has to be taken care of. And readability. Were the employees able to comprehend the contents without difficulty? So messages ought to be in such a manner that you selected certain groups of targeted audience And if the group is common, if the group is the level of understanding of the group is same, then your message will have to fit for that. Every communication has ought to be tailor-made. It is not ready-made. So readability or understandability or comprehending the message depends upon the targeted audience you selected and the message you have prepared to disseminate or give them. So as a result of this evaluation, uh, management can understand the utility of house journal or whatever it is as part of internal communication. Public relations practitioners need to follow the PR process, this PR process broadly, that is RPC. Then results and impact will have to be evaluated. So the first stage being fact finding or situation analysis. After going through the different stages of the RPC model, the last being the evaluation. What has been done? What is the outcome? What are the inferences that can be drawn from the study we have taken up? Study or research, whatever. What are the suggestions? What are the suggestions that can be given? If a sincere, serious research can be taken up, these things are possible. Otherwise, it is not possible. So, if to summarize this lesson, what we can see is before implementing any effective campaign, a great deal of thought is put into the process, which includes planning, formative research, gathering consumer insights, strategy communication, impact, and evaluation. These are some of the essential pillars on which a campaign can be built. Research is the first step as it provides information needed to create strategy and develop messages. So with this RPC model of PR process is over. Let us move on to the next lesson. The next lesson is number 6. It talks about in-house structure, in-house PR structure. Organizations which can afford to have a PR department within the organization will have, and organizations which cannot afford to have a full-time PR, in-house PR structure, PR wing or PR department or PR group, they will outsource certain external agencies on work-to-work basis. So let us discuss about in-house PR structure and what are the functions of the in-house PR structure and how they advise the top management in taking the decisions and how a in-house PR department look like and approaches in organizing the PR department, structure of central government PR department and structure in PR department and state government. That is, we already dealt with about government of India media units. That is structure of central government PR department, and information and public relations department meant for the state governments. They are called differently in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh at least. They are called INPR, Information and Public Relations Department, which will have a commissioner, director, additional directors, joint directors, regional directors, deputy directors, PROs, APROs. This is the government PR structure. Also, this is nothing is outsourced. Everything is looked after by the department. And how the structure of PR department in uh, public sector and a private sector. Structure of PR department in a voluntary organizations. They are called civil society organizations or voluntary organization, NGOs, non-governmental organizations, sometimes trusts, associations, where there is no profit motive. NGOs do not have any profit motive. They are meant for serving the society. So, how a PR department will look like in such organization? Structure of PR department in private sector, all these things: central government, state government, public sector undertaking, private sector, and voluntary sector organization. What are the PR practice in three systems? In-house PR is one system. PR consultancy, outsourcing the work of PR is PR consultancy. And the third method is having both. Even though having a in-house PR structure, PR department, PR wing, The organizations also outsource certain works to the PR agencies. This is combination of two systems, in-house and external PR agencies or consultancies. This we are going to discuss in this lesson. As you know, public relations as a profession has come a long way, both globally and in India. The liberalization of 90s, that is in 91, opened the doors for the global corporate that were eagerly waiting to tap the docile Indian market. So foreign players came to India for doing business. Similarly, Indian giants also have gone abroad for doing business because that is the opening the doors for the business, opening the door for talent, opening the door for production, opening the door for anything, scientific knowledge, and for free flow of information. New World uh, International Communication, NWICO, you can read that. Then let us look at organization and management of PR department. Whatever we try to differentiate, we try to look at the scenario before liberalization and after liberalization, sometimes before independence and after independence, before the word has been coined as PR and before after the PR has been coined. These are all the areas we look for comparison and better understanding. So there is no scope specific model that would suggest where public relations fits in the hierarchy of management, but that is not correct. In fact, various organizations have different public relations setups. Many examples suggest that the PR hierarchy depends on the circumstances that went into the creation of public relations department. In some organizations, PR outfit is created specifically, purposefully, when it is faced with a crisis situation. Whenever there is a problem, then only the organizations think that there must be a PR department for handling the information, for giving out information, for acting as mouthpiece, and also acting as antenna. Because public relations setup is both a mouthpiece and an antenna of organization. Mouthpiece is giving out information. Antenna is to gather information. What kind of information is PR setup is going to gather, good or bad? If it is good information, okay. If it is bad information, try to correct the organizational exercises. However, while structuring their corporate communication department, the companies or organizations, they have faced one major challenge. Paul Argenti points out in his book Strategic Corporate Communication, an overview of corporate communication function. He says whether to keep the function of communication centralized under one senior officer at the headquarters or decentralizing the activities and allowing the individual business units to handle communications. Another major area is cropped up while structuring the PR corporate communication department was to whom should the function report, whether it is to be reported directly to the CMD or MD or head of the organization, head of the MD, head of the entity or public authority, whatever it is. A research conducted by the Tuck School of Business suggested that average Fortune 500 company CEOs in the United States spend between 50 to 80% of their time on communication related activities. Mind you, 95% of any activity, take for example, human activity is spent on communication. What is communication? Talking, listening, reading, seeing, thinking on our own, talking to our own, soliloquy, and then even dreaming. Dreaming is also called communication. So only 5% is left out. Otherwise, 95% of the lifetime of at least human beings is spent on communication. Communication is not confined to just only speaking. Another research titled Another research titled The Rising CCO, Chief Communication Officer, released in 2008, stated that nearly 48% of the chief communication officer surveyed reported directly to the CEO. Why? What happens if they don't report to the CEO? What happens if they report to the unit heads? Here is the question. The information processed or gathered, the public perceptions gathered by PR department or a communication officer, if it is reported sometimes to the only unit head, the unit head who may not be a communication expert or who may not be a PR practitioner, PR professional, will take it lightly and he will not comprehend or apprehend the situations, or he will not understand them very easily, then the very exercise of gathering the information and perceiving the situation will go waste. Therefore, it ought to be reported to the CEO. That means Chief Executive Officer, the head of the organization, the owner of the organization. Then only the CEO will mend his ways, alter his product, alter his services so that it suits the people, targeted people, and then the company grows because everything depends upon the perceptions, upon the acceptance or rejection of the targeted audience or the stakeholders. For example, in the aftermath of Bhopal gas leak tragedy that happened in the early 80s, Union Carbide Management transferred its communication responsibilities to the Vice President of Strategic Planning. The then Chairman and CEO of Union Carbide, Robert Kennedy, in a letter to its executives, wrote like this: to ensure the closest possible alignment of our communications with the management directed at strategic planning developments. The management of those functions is being consolidated under Vice President of Strategic Planning and Public Affairs. Earlier, public relations people, that communication department people, were not given that opportunity. Now, after this, Union Corporate is an international organization. Now it has the reporting will be here in after the Bhopal gas tragedy is vested with the vice president that is next to the CEO. Therefore, every information gathered from the field, every information processed from the field is when reported to the topmost boss or next to him, then the purpose is served. Otherwise, whatever information you gather or public relations officer, PR setup will gather, will be killed. Killing means will be set aside. If you look at the setup of PR department in a private organization, there will be a CEO. CEO, earlier it was proprietor, now it is CEO, senior vice president, then senior vice president corporate communications, and horizontally global media relations, innovation technology communications, mobility communications, business solutions communication, and home solutions communication horizontally. Before the CEO directly, horizontally CEO, vertically CEO, senior EVP, SVP, executive vice president, it means senior executive vice president next to the CEO. This is the organization in your textbook. It is given like this: AT&T's corporate communication department. Then below them, financial communication, every other things will fall in line. So corporate visioning. The public relations department should ideally be involved in the corporate visioning exercise of the organization. Therefore, when the aims and objectives, when the vision and mission of an organization is set up, public relations department is also involved, and the objectives and aims of any public relations department shall be matching with the overall aims of the aims and objectives of the organization. Otherwise, if they are contrary to the very objectives of the organization, the purpose of both will be defeated. Then creating corporate identity is an important exercise. Creating a distinct identity for the organization and building corporate reputation also falls in the arena of public relations. There will be a doubt among the participants of this class or the PR practitioners sometimes and the PR students. what is public relations, what is corporate communication. Especially after 1991, the public relations, the first word has been used in India in 1941, but in 1991, after how many years? 50 years, everything keeps changing. Nothing is permanent. Everything is transitory in nature. The very public relations, which was supposed to be practiced in government organizations, it has took a different name only, but the content is same. The same thing is everything. Just the attire, the wearing dress is different. So in corporate communications, the same public relations is practiced because communication from a corporate organization means any information meant for the people, the targeted people or the community around. So same thing has been exercised by the government departments in public relations. So public relations and corporate communications are not different but one and the same, but it is a new name because with the advent of the corporate sector, not the government departments, with the advent of corporate sector, one example, in one of the universities, a student after passing out post-graduation was asked to go to Bangalore and do research in public relations. He was given the task to do some kind of research in public relations. The student went there and came back to the research guide or the professor saying that in Bangalore, nobody is practicing public relations. No organization, no company, mostly IT companies or corporates, giants, they are not practicing public relations. So the professor advised the student again, you go and ask for that you wanted to do research in corporate communication. So the student, the research student again went there and asked for and told the intention that I'm going to do research in corporate communication. Number of organizations readily accepted. What does it mean? It means they practice corporate communications. They don't call it public relations. If when people are practicing corporate communication, when people are having some departments or wings within the organizations that are designated by corporate communications manager or HR manager or corporate communications wing, if you go and ask them for them, because they are not also aware of what is PR and what is corporate communication, but there is no difference except the nomenclature. This I wanted to make it clear. So what government's practice is public relations in simple, what corporates practice is corporate communication, but the principles and the procedure and the dissemination of messages and persuasion techniques and the motivation tactics and gathering the information and giving the feedback, reaction, processing, and RPC model, whatnot, all things are one and the same in both PR. But therefore, it is said PR is an umbrella term under which many other things, corporate communication, marketing communication, advertising, publicity, lobbying, public affairs, press agentry, all these things. Some are origins, some are in the process, some are the outcome. But however, public relations is an umbrella term. For example, about a decade ago, Air India went in for a fresh exercise. This, among other inputs, meant change of logo from the archer with a bow and sun and a new color scheme. This led to the repainting of the entire fleet. However, they soon realized that the changed identity did not bring about the desired response, so they reverted to the old one, Maharaja. So the paintings, the color, the logo, the motif, the insignia, the trademark, the registered trademark, all these things will seek to gather the attention of the stakeholders, that is the users, commuters, customers, consumers, whatever it is. But that sometimes change of name gives an opportunity to project themselves again into the market. Sibak, Binaka became Sibaka, and Grofers became Blinkit. These are the opportunities. They give an opportunity. Name change gives an opportunity to the organizations to project themselves, go into the market. Urban Clap has become Urban Company. These are simple examples. What is in the name? But there is something in name. And as far as PR exercise is concerned, when there is any change in name, any change in the logo, any change in the color combination, then it gives an opportunity for the organization to make their presence felt in the market. So this was probably because here in the example, bad judgment and lack of research among the host of other mistakes. So what prompted them to change the color? Generally, the color of the flight will be white. Color of the flight will be white. Of course, some designs will be there, color combinations will be there these days. If you look at uh, uh, Indigo, look at any other uh, airliner, generally they will be either white or sky color with some designs and colors uh, depicting their identity. So otherwise, it must give an opportunity for anybody, not only airlines, anybody uh, to easily identify them. For example, look at any trademark, look at any logo. The moment you see, you will recollect. It is because of the consistency again. The popular brands, maybe footwear, maybe clothes, maybe electronic goods, maybe electrical goods, even maybe services like insurance companies, car brands, all these will have their own specific trademarks and they will be projected again and again whenever they speak of their products or services because that gives remembering, that gives a a situation for the people to recall it immediately. Even slogans, even slogans also play a role. Not only the insignia, not only the logos, even the slogans will give an immediate recall for the people. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. This is the slogan of LIC. Similarly, you can think of anything as you see, as you watch your television, you can just note down or just try to recollect, recall why they repeatedly do it. That is all consistency. Then media relations is very important. Traditionally, also media relations expend a lot of PR time. Media serves as a very important conduit between an organization and its various publics. PR mileage in media lends credibility and also visibility to organizations. Not only credibility, it must be visible to the people. And visibility through your ethical practices will bring you credibility. These days, everybody is trying to be visible first and then seek to gain the credibility. Even the judiciary, even the judiciary, which is not supposed to reveal anything, says that justice should not only be done, but it must be seen to have done. Should not only be done, but it must be seen that it has been done. So even judiciary seeks to the favorable opinion of the public of the country, saying that we are doing good. We are going according to the principles of law of the land, and all these things. So these are all the things which we have to keep in mind. Marketing communication. This is called mass com, marcom, corporate communications. They have been shortened because the lingo is very different. People will recreate the words. Marketing communication department coordinates and imagine whatever it is, whoever communicates, all fall under one subject, that is communication. Why we need to communicate? We have to inform. We communicate to inform. We communicate to disseminate. We communicate to give out what we are going to give out, what should we give out. These are all the things internal and according to the policy. To what extent the information is to be given? Can we give the trade secrets? Can we give the formula? Can we give the patent descriptions? No, it cannot be given. So they all constitute intellectual properties. Some certain things cannot be revealed. Certain things ought to be revealed as per the prescriptions, as per the instructions of the government issued from time to time for the information of the general public. Otherwise, they will be in dark. They should be informed. People should be informed. Public be informed. This is the stage. from where public be damned. Public be damned means damn with public. We need not tell them anything. We are the rulers. They are the subjects. Whatever we tell, they should listen. That was the situation earlier, some 100 years ago. But now all governments have realized that public be informed because they are the rulers and the workers, the official machinery, the three pillars of the governance are only the agents of the public. The public are the kings. Public are the original rulers. They are the masters. Okay, internal and external communication. PR department generally carries two important functions, internal communication and external communication. Whatever the communication is meant for the workers, the employees, is called, I told you in the beginning, the audience, the public must be divided vertically into two, internal public and external public. Who are the internal public? Generally, employees, employee representatives, the officers, the staff, other things constitute the internal public. Who are the external public? External public is the vast area. They are general public. From the general public, your consumers, your customers, your credit, your clients, your stakeholders, your suppliers, your stockholders, your distributors, your suppliers of material, your carriers, transport carriers, your banks, your government, your locality, local leaders, elected representatives, these constitute the external public. So internal and external communication is very important because when once you have bifurcated them, your communication ought to be specific to the specified targeted audience. Then government relations. Government relations is of utmost importance because it is the government that controls everything. Without the government, there will be no law and order. So whatever you do, you try to influence the government. That is called lobbying. But lobbying is always not good. But if you say it's the public affairs, then dealing with the government, if you put it under the category of public affairs, the people together constitute a federation, just like FICCI or FAPSI or FATAXI. These are all the organizations, or IMA, Indian Medical Association, or for any organization, professional organization, there will be a federation through which the government can be influenced. That is a kind of public affairs, though it is a lobbying. But for what? For the benefit of both the people in the trade and also for the consuming public, it shall be there. Therefore, government relations is very important. It is also known as public affairs, as I told you. Today, no businessman can function in isolation of the government. Without the government, it has to follow the law of the land as government policies, regulations can affect the company. Or at the same time, if the company is to be favored or the particular industry is to be favored, the public will suffer. Supposing more of if a product is allowed to be sold at a higher price, who will be the losers? The buyers will be the losers. Who are the buyers? They come from the general public. Who are the general public? They are the rulers. In fact, public relations has to do liaising with bureaucrats, with corporate information for creating better relations with the government. It must be a win-win situation. It must be for mutual benefit, not the other way around. Crisis communication, which PR department handles, is considered as an inherent part of public relations. So crisis PR. Crisis PR is one subject. Anticipatory PR is also another subject. Anticipatory PR is you expect the unexpected. If something is going to happen which you cannot accept in ordinary course, but you have to do some expectations, make preparatory arrangements in advance. If this thing happens, what should be done? That is called anticipatory PR. If something happened in spite of that, what should be done during the crisis? So these are all the things called communication crisis. And there are other allied functions. That is investor relations. Investors, where from the money come from? Where from the money come from the investors? They are called otherwise stakeholders. Traditionally, the finance department used to handle the investor relations. There will be some kind of uh, rights issues, public issues, through which bonds, through which money is collected. So for that, what is to be done? If the company is new, a good communication shall go to the prospective investors. If it is an existing, through its credibility, if it has performed well, so with that credibility, with that face, with that goodwill, it will again go to the rights issue or public issue. Thereby, money is gathered, pulled up, and then invested. Then business is done, and then again it will give more dividends to the investors, more dividends to the stakeholders. Then again it will go like this. It is a cycle until it grows and establishes itself. Corporate social responsibility is another allied function of public relations. So these days, all PROs, all corporate communication officers are vested with the responsibility of CSR. CSR is nothing but giving back to the community. Whatever we have taken from the society or community, giving it back to the community or society is called CSR. That is the social responsibility of any corporate organization. In other words, government is the government is the authority that has to take care of the responsibility of the people. But since government cannot on its own do everything, that responsibility has been delegated to the corporates by a system called spending at least 2% of the preceding 3 years profit under corporate social responsibility expenditure. But it cannot be just thrown away. Money cannot be thrown. Money cannot be spent as a charity. But there are specified activities under which only the earmarked amount can be spent. So corporate social responsibility, there are initiatives undertaken by the company. A company can opt which activity I have to take. Supposing, take for example, some major public sector undertakings like central public sector undertakings. Take for example, uh, BHCL. BHCL adopted villages. It is part of corporate social responsibility. Why it should adopt the villages? For example, mm, Al Kabir. It was a mechanized slaughterhouse towards Sangareddy on Bombay Highway. It is also doing certain corporate social responsibility initiative and exercises. Why they should do? In order to gain the favorable public opinion. So public opinion is a very big subject. If the public opinion is in favor, nothing will perish. If the public opinion is against, nothing will cherish. This is the dictum. This is the principle. So Al Kabir, the mechanized slaughterhouse, around late 80s and early 90s, it was not allowed to function. It was not allowed to do its production activities. Later on, they corrected. They took up certain corporate social responsibility exercise. They gave some jobs to the local people. They gave some shops to the communities around as part of corporate social responsibility, though they have all kinds of licenses, permissions from the government, okay, GOs, everything, they were not allowed to do that. Many people have troubled them, saying that they are killing the animals and animal population is depleted. But then how it has been corrected, even now it is killing the animals. But they said through their communication, we are not killing the productive animals. We are killing only the culled animals, which cannot be fed by farmers, which are of no use, which cannot plow, which cannot give milk. Such kind of things are killed without pain, and they were not just collected from the open in the villages. A sizable amount, the value has been given to the owner of the animal, and then they were processed in a clean environment without causing any damage to the groundwater or the pollution, air pollution. And then this money is being exported and thereby getting some foreign currency to the government of India. And we are also doing, these are all the exercises for the community around. So while establishing an organization or a production, this thing, the natural settings were disturbed by that organization. Before BHCL was there were a lot of paddy fields and other fields. But because government acquired the land for establishing BHCL, they were displaced. So their land was taken. But what is in return? They were given some housings were constructed, villages were adapted, some medical camps were constructed, school uniforms distributed, and eye testing camps, not many other things. Water pipe, safe drinking water pipelines to the neighboring villages. These are all the these are all the exercises. These are all the exercises under CSR initiatives. So then, advising the top management. Communication is essentially a management function, and its role is not the below, and its role is at the top level. And the role of a PR professional is to guide, aid, and advise the management in its communication strategies. It is not surprising that he or she directly reports to the topmost executive. So, at the place of the public relations practitioner ought to be at the decision level. The place of the public relations practitioner or corporate communications manager is in the boardroom. What is boardroom? In the boardroom, decisions are taken. So at decision taking level, the PR manager is involved, or otherwise he should grow to such a level. How he grows to such a level? If he is qualified, if he is experienced, if he has a research bent of mind, if he has nose for news, if he has empathy, if he has sympathy, if he is an expert, if he has the writing capabilities, if he is a capability of counseling with the people as well as the management, then only all these qualities will make him go to the boardroom level at the decision taking level. So in-house PR departments. The structure and hierarchy of public relations department varies from public to private sector. The designations of public and private sector also vary, as I told you. Sometimes in government departments, they are called invariably PR, director PR, manager PR, some executive PR, something like that. If you go to the corporate manager, corporate communication, AGM corporate communication, GM corporate communication, and also sometimes PR and CC, it means public relations and corporate communication. Sometimes CC and PR. Sometimes CC and HR. Sometimes CC and CSR. These are the designations depending upon the need and the expertise of that particular officer. For example, a model and the structure of the public relations department in a public relations department looks like this: chairman, oblique managing director or CEO. Below him is vice president, corporate communication, and other vice presidents will be there for marketing, for material procurement, for transport, for distribution, maybe there. But there is one exclusive vice president, corporate communication. Below him, there will be director media relations, director marketing communication, director consumer relations, director internal communication, director government relations, depending upon the need, depending upon the size of the organization, depending upon the size of the PR department itself. In the public relations sector, one has not even seen the PR head represented in the board of directors earlier, but now slowly they are getting into the boardroom. That is the ultimate aim. So if the expert is allowed to have his room, his place at the decision taking level, the result in favor of the organization would also be good. Approaches in organizing the PR department. As we discussed earlier, the functions of a public relations department are created based on the reason behind its creation, how a department has been created. So objectives are set, aims are set, duties and responsibilities are. Everything is in hierarchy, it is created. The functions evolve over a period of time. Initially, we give some kind of responsibilities, but over a period of time, there's some kind of functions will evolve. There is, however, no denying the fact that when the top management believes in the role of public relations, then an in-house PR department forms an integral part of organization structure. The PR head ideally reports to the CEO. That is the ideal situation of the organization. However, this is not same in all departments, in all organizations. It is because of the personal authority or the positional authority. In business management, we call authorities in two ways: personal authority and positional authority. Two persons of the same position will be different as far as their personal authorities are concerned. If some people, if two people are of the same qualification, same experience of years, if they are posted in different positions, their positional authorities will differ. Therefore, both personal authority and positional authority are important. In an in-house PR department, generally carries out two important functions, that is internal communication and external. Wherever you go, it is always bifurcated into two and then sub-bifurcated, subdivided. The internal communication deals with the people, stakeholders who are working within the organization, that is employees, board members, etc., and external constitute the plethora of the community, and then it includes media relations also, government relations, financial relations, the banks, and political relations with the political representatives and political executives and the union leaders outside the organization. And in PR, media relations is of very important. Structure of central government PR departments. As we have briefly discussed yesterday, they are All India Radio, Doordarshan, PIB, Press Information Bureau, Publications Division, New Media Wing, Bureau of Outreach and Communication. This is the amalgamation of three units: Photo Division, Films Division, IIMC, Indian Institute of Mass Communication. These are all the Government of India media units. After independence, uh, Government of India set up a full-fledged Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. It is the premier agency for disseminating information to people at large on various welfare programs undertaken by the government. If the government is undertaking various welfare programs, adopted various policies, how it should be informed to the people. The people must be told first, these are the things available. You can avail this, then only they will avail. The information will go to the information gatekeepers, opinion leaders, those are well read or well informed, and then it will go to the actual beneficiaries. Annual government report card is another important information dissemination. Why all governments prepare, all departments prepare a kind of annual report? An annual report will contain all the activities of that department or the wing, including that of the aims, objectives, vision, and mission, what they have done during the previous preceding year. All India Radio Akashvani is the national public radio broadcaster of India and a division of Prasar Bharati. Both Doordarshan and All India Radio is called Prasar Bharati. It was established in 1930. All India Radio's home service comprises 415 stations, maybe more today, located across the country, reaching nearly 92% of the country's area and 99.19% of the total. This is called media reach. Media access means how easily it is accessible to the people. That is called media access. But media reach means how far, to what extent, what is the last mile that it is going to reach. Radio being the cheapest medium of communication, its reach is 92% of country's area, including hills, deserts, everywhere it goes. Only 8% is remaining. But 99.19% of the total population, wherever it can be tuned, if there is a signal, then he will get the information. That is the reach of this particular medium, that is All India Radio. Names British Indian Broadcasting Corporation, Indian State Broadcasting Corporation, then All India Radio, then now Akashvani, and Prasar Bharati. These are all the names. Doordarshan is also an independent public service broadcaster. It is government broadcaster, a division of Prasar Bharati. It is one of the largest broadcasting organizations in the world in terms of studios as well as transmitters. Doordarshan has a three-tier program services: national, regional, and local. The national programs emphasizes on events and issues of interest to the entire nation. The regional programs caters to the interest. You have Vijayawada State Kendra Doordarshan, you have Hyderabad. Similarly, uh, this is like even the radio is also Kadapa, Rajahmundry. These are all the stations. PIB, as we have been telling every time, PIB is Press Information Bureau. This is the major media agency of the government. Publication division, it publishes the journals, books, and it is a repository of books, journals like Yojana, Employment News, Kurukshetra. All these are the products of this publications division. New Media Wing is part of Ministry of INB. It provides reference material and support for the formulation of new policies. Bureau of Outreach and Communication, BOC. It undertakes multimedia advertising and publicity of various ministries and departments through print media, electronic. DAVP, DFP have been merged into BOC, and it caters to the services defined for its discharge. Photo division, it is a repository of photos, archives spanning over the decades, even before independence, after independence, even today. Films division, photo division is different from film division. In photo division, only static pictures will be there. In films division, there will be rolls, tapes, and then electronic documents, documentaries, features, news magazines, war news, everything will be there. IIMC is an educational institution. It has 5 centers throughout the country. Apart from Delhi, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, apart from Delhi, it has a center in Orissa, Amaravati in Maharashtra, Aizawl in Mizoram, Jammu and Kottayam in Kerala. They offer PG diplomas and degrees in English medium and also Hindi medium. Structure of department, PR department in the state, if you say, to look at it, there will be secretary at secretariat level, and sometimes ex officio secretary, the commissioner being ex officio secretary, usually an IAS officer. Below him will be a director and additional director, 1 or 2 additional directors after bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh state into 2, that is Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Each state has a commissioner, that is IAS officer, sometimes exclusive or sometimes ex officio. The secretary himself will be the commissioner. Then deputy directors for publications, for field publicity, for visual communication, for media relations, something like that. Then regional directors, regional deputy directors will be there. And then information officers, PROs, assistant directors of information, PROs, APROs, divisional PROs. This is the structure of PR department. And if you look at the structure of PR department in public sector, there will be CMD or MD alone, GM corporate communications. See, instead of public relations, now we can see corporate communication. That is the only difference. DGM PR or DGM CC, AGM PR, the AGM assistant manager or manager, supervisor of PR or corporate communication. This is. And then structure of PR department in private sector, if you look at it, there is no specific thing. There can be 1 person, there can be 10 persons, there can be 20 persons, and their designations, there is no restriction on designation. 1 person can look after both HR, corporate communications, media relations, the HRM, human resources management, all other things, including procurement of material, finance, even. It depends upon the affordability of the private sector in engaging the experts as PR practitioners. So this is the structure of PR in private sector. According to a survey, recent survey, 100 employers, not employees, employers revealed that knowledge of PR theory was placed last in terms of importance in the list of 11 competencies. It means what? The least importance is given. Interestingly, an understanding of business principles came second last. A majority of respondents felt writing skills and an understanding of media relations is most important. When they say it is public relations, it is the least. When they say it is writing skills, understanding media relations, and it has gone up in the scale, it means public relations practitioners are basically taken by the organization for maintaining media relations. Why media relations? In media relations, the one benefit is whatever happens in the organization, whatever is to be projected to the people, it can be placed through one or two media or different forms of media. Thereby, people will come to know about it, about the organization, about its activities, its products and services. With that motive in mind, the organizations engage public relations practitioners who will have the educational background or experience in the media line or media will be taken as public relations. So therefore, it has become a synonymous. Media relations has become synonymous with public relations. Public relations means media relations means public relations. The other things are kept aside, though public relations is not just media relations. It encompasses every other activity of the organization. It encompasses all activities, all humanities, all facets of the human beings. It seeks to obtain favorable public opinion. Media relations is just maintaining relations with the media in order to project the organization in the media. But public relations is both a science and an art, not just writing in the media. Role of PR in a private organization, the growing people's expectations, demand for transparency, and extensive media scrutiny have made the corporates conscious of their reputation, and reputation management is also important. Can just media relations do this thing? But public relations can do through media relations. Without that, it is not possible. But media relations is not enough. Just media relations will not serve any purpose. A public relations practitioner is a um, is a man who can advise the organizations on various aspects, not just media relations, though media relations is important. Why I am stressing on media relations and why I am comparing PR practitioners having education qualification is the one basic idea is that project the organization into the people. So, but that is not all. That is not the entirety. That is the important thing. But several other things are also there, which a public relations practitioner ought to discharge. Moss and Green, say, 2001, have given a summary of key roles of a PR manager in a private sector as follows. What are they? Planning public relations programs. They are not called media relations program. They are called planning public relations program. PR program is a big thing, big subject. Making communication policy decisions. Media is important, but communication policy is different. If a communication policy is set, then not all things are through media. Supposing for internal public maybe some thousands, they need not be communicated through any newspaper. They can be communicated with journals. They can be communicated with news media. They can be communicated through circulars. They can be communicated with the notices put on the notice board. They can be communicated through group meetings. They can be communicated through joint meetings. So therefore, making communication policy decisions is important and diagnosing public relations problems, counseling the management, acting as a catalyst for management decision. A public relations practitioner is a catalyst. What is catalyst? Catalyst means a change agent, a change for the better. Supervising the work of others, planning and managing budgets, meeting with client executives. Public Relations Society of America Foundation lists PRSA, lists various roles of public relations professions, right from counseling is one job, research is another job, media relation is also one of the jobs, publicity is a job, employee member relations is job, community relations, maintaining relations with the community is a job, maintaining public affairs, practicing public affairs, government affairs, issue management. It means taking money from the public, issues, shares, financial relations, obtaining loans and advances from the banks and financial institutions, industry relations, maintaining relations with the industry for drawing the material or the same line of activity. So that is also called industrial relations, developing, development and fundraising, multicultural relations, workplace diversity, special events, Marketing communication is also part of these public relations. And if you look at PR in voluntary sector organizations, more or less same as in private sector or government sector. The main objective of a voluntary or non-profit organized or not for profit organized, they are also called CSOs, civil society organized, is to serve the public interest, not with any profit motive. These organizations are registered either under Section 8 of Company Act or Societies Registration Act 1860 or Apartment Owners Act or Cooperative Society Act. Some activity collectively for mutual benefit, mutual understanding, thereby serving the society and for the self-satisfaction of the operators. This is the purpose, this is the objective of any voluntary organization. Good PR is as important for voluntary organizations as they are crucial for commercial businesses. For it is only through public relations that not-for-profit organization or non-profit organizations are seen as socially responsible and goodwill ambassadors. Many things government will suppress, but these NGOs, these civil society organizations will expose uh, those defects in the organizations. In one way, they are serving the public than the government departments. Government departments will always try to hide certain things, but NGOs as such will explore the things, will expose the deficiencies, will expose the defects of the government. PR practices in three systems is called in-house PR, and the PR consultancy, that is outsourcing the services of a PR agent or PR consultancy, and combining these three things, these three kinds of things. Who is the consumer? What is finance? What is public affairs? And what is corporate communication? We have already discussed working for a PR consultancy. If within the PR department, you have different designations. If it is a PR consultancy, specific designations are there. You have to get acquainted with these things. For example, an account assistant, he is responsible for writing press releases in a PR agency or PR consultancy for the organization which outsourced that agency. Account executive or senior account executive is responsible for briefing photographers, liaising with the journalists. He is above the account assistant, and then accounts manager, and then senior accounts manager, accounts director or associate director. He will have the managerial duties and leading the teams, motivating the teams, managing the. And there are advantages and disadvantages in the consultancy and in-house PR department. They are inherent. So money is to be spent because a permanent in-house PR department requires a lot of money because salaries have to be paid every month, whether there is work or no work. And if a PR agency broadly is there, only when there is a work, we will outsource. But sometimes there will be miscommunication between the organization and the PR consultancy. If you cannot tell the PR agencies what is to be needed, what is to be done, some communication distortion will be there and that will prove costly. If it is in-house, then it is easy for them. So these are all some advantages and disadvantages are there. So this is all about the lesson number 6. Also, we have dealt with two lessons, lesson number 5 and lesson number 6. If you look at the model questions at the end of given at the end of each lesson, that will be easy for you to comprehend, not just for writing examination and passing. It is very important. And glossary, I repeatedly tell, glossary means certain specific terminology related to that particular profession is given there. Journalistic jargons, scientific jargons, and these are all the jargon means language in which the professionals speak, only known to the people. But in judiciary, there are more jargons, many people will come to know. But that is not the case in journalism and public relations. Corporate identity, anybody will just simply give a meaning, but the exact meaning will be known only to the PR practitioners, in-house PR department, consumer PR, financial PR. These are all the glossary. Supposing bounce, clash, bleeding, killing, these are all the words, journalistic words. If I say killing, if I say bleeding, people will think differently. But bleeding means the text will go into the gutters, the margins. That is called bleeding. Bounce flash is a photographic jargon. The light will bounce and then flash. Bounce flash, people may think differently, but only a photographer, a journalist, photojournalist will understand. Then killing means kill the media, kill the news item. It means killing, but it is not killing somebody with some weapon. So these are all the jargons. A jargonic language is a must for each profession. The professional language is, in one sense, is called jargon. So with that, we conclude here. And next Saturday, we'll try to address lesson number 7, structure and functions of PR forms in detail. Thank you very much. Thank you, University. Thank you, listeners.